Hi, fourth graders. This is Mrs. Smith here to review quickly with you greatest common factor and least common multiple. If you're in my class, we put together in our learning logs two different pages that compare and contrast the greatest common factor and least common multiple. If you're in Mrs. Schnett's or Mr. Tillish's class, you can pause your screen and look at this page and copy it down if you think that it would help you. On this page in my learning log, I have what is a greatest common factor and what it's typically used for, and then working out the steps of a greatest common factor type problem. So again, if you want to pause this screen, write it down, take a screenshot, and use it to help you later, you're more than welcome to. Or you can always come back to this video and take a look if you needed to. So this page is about greatest common factor. This page is about least common multiple. So again, if you wanted to pause this, write it down, take a look. Let me zoom out so you can see the end there. Okay. So if you're in my class, I want you to go ahead and look at these pages that you already have if you are stuck here. So again, moving forward, this is the page that you will need. It is stapled together, and so the first one is greatest common factor, and the second page is least common multiple. We're going to start with greatest common factor, and you can see I put here at the top a little note. I'd like you to write this down. It says, we use GCF, or greatest common factor, to solve questions that ask us to put fractions in simplest form. So this is the most common way that you will see greatest common factor in your fourth grade math. Okay? So at the top here, it says greatest common factor. When you find all the factors of two or more numbers and you find some factors are the same, common, the largest of those common factors is the greatest common factor. So you can see here they did an example for you. They asked what are the factors of 12. Remember, factors are two numbers that multiply together to make 12, or any number that's being asked of you. So in this case, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. So the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Then they asked about what are the factors of 20, 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Are all combinations of factors that you can multiply together to make 20. So then they asked what are the common factors. Those are the factors that 12 and 20 both have. They listed 1 because they both have a 1, 2 because they both have a 2, and 4 because they both have a 4. And those are the only common factors they have. So now, what's the greatest common factor? The largest, the biggest? 1, 2, or 4? Well, you know 4 is the biggest number, so the greatest common factor is 4. I'm going to do problem number 1 with you, and then you'll be responsible for 2, 3, and 4 on your own. Remember, if this confuses you, to go ahead and make note of it on this page and bring it to your next Zoom meeting with your classroom teacher. So, question 1 asks me, find the greatest common factor of 8 and 12. So I'm going to start by listing all the factors of 8. I've told my class that you always start with 1 and itself, right? If they're asking me about 8, I know 1 times itself, or 8, is 8. So then I say, is there a 2 that you can multiply to get to 8? Well, yeah, 2 times 4 is 8. And you'll notice I'm using these big gaps in between when I started. That's because you don't typically know when you start a problem how many factors there are going to be. In this case, there's only 4 factors, and I have this big silly gap here, but that doesn't matter. I still know that the factors are 1, 2, 4, and 8. Okay? So now I'm going to list all of the factors of 12. So 1 times 12 is 12. I know 2 times 6 is 12. And 3 times 4 is 12. And I don't think I mentioned this when I said it before, but the big silly gap is to give you enough space to write down all the factors, but also so that you can put them in order. So you notice that I put 1 because that's the smallest, on the left side and 12 on the right side because it's the biggest. And then I worked my way in. Okay? So now I'm going to list the common factors. So 1 is a common factor because they both have it. 2 is a common factor because they both have a 2. They don't both have a 3, but they both have a 4. And they both don't have an 8, and they both don't have a 6 or a 12. So my common factors are 1, 2, and 4. And the greatest common factor is the biggest one of this list, and that's 4. Okay? So that's a little review for you of greatest common factor. Again, you're responsible for the remainder of this page, but keep watching because we are going to do an example problem on least common multiple. Again, I wrote a little note here across the top. I put, we typically use least common multiple, or LCM, to make common denominators to compare or order fractions. Remember, when we compare and order fractions, I have to have a common denominator, or a denominator that's the same on both fractions so that I can compare them appropriately. So the steps that I need to do that are to find the least common multiple. So I have to list all of the multiples of one denominator, all of the multiples of another, then identify the common multiples and find the smallest, this time, common multiple. Okay? So let's go ahead and start by doing this. Actually, I changed my mind. Let's do example E down here. Example E says, find the LCM for each pair of numbers. So my numbers here are 3 and 20. So I'm going to flip my page over so I give myself some space. I'm going to make a note that I'm doing example E, and they asked me to find the LCM of 3 and 20. All right, so the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to write my 3, and I'm going to start listing some multiples of 3. Starting with the smallest, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33. This is a lot of multiples. Let's start by writing down some of the multiples of 20 and see if I found the least common multiple yet. 20, 40. Well, I have 21. That's not 20. So I need to see if I can get to 40. So let's try that. 33, 36, 39. 42. I didn't make it. So 20, 40, 60. I did not do a good job of setting myself up for this. So I ran out of space. So now I'm at 42. I'm going to have to continue right here above my 20. Okay. 45, 48, 51, 54, 57. 60. Wow, that took me a long time, but it was worth it because look, I found my least common multiple. So the least common multiple of 3 and 20 is 60. Wow. So I'm going to flip my paper over and write down that the least common multiple is 60. Okay, you're going to repeat that process for the remainder of the questions on this page. I did choose to skip questions A through D up here because I think that these are ones that you're capable of. The directions for all of them, for the first two, say list the first 6 multiples of 8. So you're just going to start with 8 and do just the first 6 multiples. So 8, 16, 24. So you get to keep going because I've listed the first 3 multiples for you. You need to list the first 6. Okay? Question C is a little bit different. It says list 2 common multiples of 8 and 12. And question D says what is the least common multiple of 8 and 12? So these two go together. All right? So I hope this little review helped you. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you circle them or make note of them so that you can ask your classroom teacher in your next Zoom session. As always, let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you soon.